Hi guys, so welcome back to my channel. A blessed Good Friday to each and every one of you. So today I'm going to be making the traditional cross buns. I'm going to be showing you guys my very simple recipe. For this recipe you'll need 3 cups of all-purpose flour. I've already measured and sifted my flour. You'll need about 1/3 of cup of brown sugar. You'll need a packet of yeast. This is roughly 2.5 teaspoons of yeast. You'll need 1 egg. You'll need 2 tablespoons of butter, salted and softened, and you'll need about 1/4 cup of raisins. You'll also need about a 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg and about 1 teaspoon of cinnamon sugar. You'll also need a cup of warm milk, not hot, just warm. So to start, we're going to activate the yeast. So I kind of like my cross buns a bit on the sweeter side. So I'm going to put about 1 tablespoon of sugar in my milk. And I'm going to just mix that around just so that sugar gets melted in just a little bit. And then I'm going to add my yeast to my warm milk. And it just has to be warm enough to activate the yeast. You don't want this mixture to be hot because then it kills the yeast and it doesn't get to bloom. So we're just gonna mix that in. Don't worry about those stuff on the side, you'll see it'll bloom nice. And then we're gonna set this aside for 15 minutes, about roughly 15 minutes. So we're gonna set that to the side. So while that's on the side, we're going to take our flour and we're gonna add all of our dry ingredients. So I'm gonna pour my sugar in here. I am going to add my raisins, my ground nutmeg, and then we're just gonna mix this in. So I'll do that and I'll be right back and I'll show you guys what that's supposed to look like. So I just wanted you guys to see how I'm gonna do this process, so I asked my husband to hold my phone. So I added my sugar to my flour. I'm going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg to that, and then I'm going to add about 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon to that mixture as well. And then I'm going to add my 2 tablespoons of my softened butter, and then I'm going to just mix this in, and it's kind of gonna look like breadcrumbs as well. So I'm gonna mix this in so that I know the flour is rubbed in really nice. And as you can see, unlike my pastry dough, I am using my hands for this because it's perfectly okay. Like this, melting the butter in this does not determine how your dough will be. So you're just gonna rub it in so everything gets really combined in the flour. And then after I do that, I'm going to add in my raisins. So we're still waiting on that yeast to bloom. It hasn't been 15 minutes yet, but since I'm a multitasker, I figured we'll just do this part anyway. And you want to add about 1/4 cup of raisins. You can add how much you want. I'm just gonna average how much I would want in this. This is a really simple recipe, guys, and you guys are gonna enjoy making this. I love making this. We don't just make this around this time, but we tend to make it throughout the year in my household. So yeah, it's really simple and really easy to make. You can use your hand for this recipe, but I'm going to be using my stand mixer because I have a baby at home, so I'll be stopping a lot to breastfeed her. So I figured it's best if I just put my dough in here and walk away so I can feed her. So I've mixed all of that in, and now we're just waiting on the mixture to bloom, the yeast mixture to bloom, and then we'll pour all of this in our stand mixer and I'll show you guys that process. So I'll be right back. Okay guys, so welcome back. I wanted you to see that my yeast has bloomed. It's been about 15 minutes. So this is what it should look like after you have left it for 15 minutes. That's when you know that your yeast is really good and also that your milk was warm enough. So we're gonna get started. So you can use your hands to do this process, but I'm going to use my mixing bowl. So I'm just gonna pour my liquid in my mixing bowl, and I'm going to go right ahead and add my dry ingredients. Again, you can do this with your hands. So if you were to use your hands with this process, you would just put the liquid in the bowl and kind of knead that around. I'm also gonna need 1 egg. So I'm just gonna crack that in there, and that's that. And then I'm going to put this on my mixer. And we're going to knead this on about like a medium speed, low to medium speed, for about 6 minutes. Now, if you find that your dough is a bit too sticky, you can add a little more flour if you want, but I find that 3 cups of flour kind of does the job for me. But again, if it's too sticky, you can add a little bit more flour, nothing much, because the more flour you add, that tends to give you a heavy bread, and that's not what you want. You don't want the cross buns to be really heavy. You want them to be nice, light, and moist. So I don't add much more flour. I don't think I will need any more, but if you're gonna knead this by your hand and you find that you know it's a little bit too sticky, you can add about a 1/4 cup more of flour. Nothing too much, because again, you don't want this to be a heavy dough. So I'm going to let this knead for about 5 to 6 minutes, the most, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you guys what that looks like. We just want this to be a nice and smooth dough. That way we will have a really nice, light and fluffy cross buns, and I'll show you guys how that looks. So it's been about 6 minutes, and this is what my dough looks like. It's nice and soft, and I think that's exactly what I want it to look like. It's nice and smooth and soft. So now I am going to roll this out into a ball, and we're going to cover this with a dish towel for about an hour so that it can double in size. And I'll show you what that looks like in just 1 second. Okay, hi guys. So I rolled my dough out into like a ball. You see how nice and smooth that looks? This is how you want your dough to look. It's still a little bit sticky, but that's okay. That will determine how soft your dough, your cross buns is. So I'm gonna set this in this bowl, and I'm going to let this sit for about an hour. All you have to do is cover this with a dish towel. Sorry, English is really messed up. But all you have to do is cover this with a dish towel and set for about an hour so that it can double in size, and then we'll be right back. Alright guys, so while we wait for our dough to get to double in size, I'm going to show you guys how I make the glaze for the top of the buns once they come out the oven. So first we're going to start with about a tablespoon of butter, and we're going to melt that, and then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of granulated white sugar and about a 1/4 cup of water. So I'm just going to add all of that in there, and then I'm going to use a rubber spatula, and I am just going to mix this around, and I'm doing this on a medium heat. So I am going to mix this around until the sugar dissolves, and this liquid, it will start to thicken up. You'll know it's ready when it starts to crystallize at the side of the pot. Oh, my English is so messed up today, guys. It's been a long night. My daughter had me up. But yeah, so we're just going to mix this until it thickens up a little bit. And you'll know it's ready once, like I said, it'll start to crystallize at the side of the pot. And like I said, I'm only putting my stove on the medium heat. So yeah. And we'll just let that work, and we'll just keep stirring. And I will come back and show you guys what that will look like once it's ready. But we're just gonna keep stirring it, you know, just so it doesn't like burn. This can get like, it will crystallize into like really big clumps of sugar really quick. So you have to like keep an eye on it. You don't want it to turn into like sugar crystals. You just want it to start crystallizing at the side of the pot, but the liquid will start to thicken up. So you'll know when it's ready. And we'll be right back. Okay, guys, so this is what the liquid looks like once it starts to thicken up. So you'll see some like air bubbles at the bottom of your liquid. So that means that it's working really good, and it's gonna start to thicken up in a little bit. So we're almost there. Hi guys, so I think this is exactly what I want my liquid to look like. It's thick enough, and as you can see, it starts to like crystallize at the side of the pot. So this is the point where I will remove this from the heat, and I'll just set it aside, and I'll cover this down, and I'll let it sit until the buns come out the oven. And as soon as they come out the oven, we'll glaze them. So this is what my glaze looks like after I have thickened it up. That was like about 4 to 5 minutes, I think, that this was cooking on a medium heat for. So I think this is good enough, or I think I'll probably do it just a little bit more. But this is thick enough, and this will cover all of my buns. This glaze will be perfect for all of my buns. So I'll see you guys back in a minute when it's time to roll out our dough. Hi guys, so welcome back. So my dough has pretty much doubled in size and that looks so good. So now we're going to punch the air out of this and we're going to roll this out into some balls. This should give you about 8 cross buns. I'm not gonna do them really big, so I'm just gonna show you guys how I roll this out into some balls, and then we're going to place them on a cookie sheet and we're going to place this for another 45 minutes. So let me show you how I do that. So look at that. This is so nice and soft. So those cross buns are going to be amazing. They're probably going to be the melt in your mouth kind. So I'm just going to roll this out into a bowl and we're going to set that aside. It's that simple. Do you see how nice and smooth the top of that looks? These are going to be some really, really good cross buns. Just gonna roll this out into a ball, get the bottom of it and everything, and then we're gonna place this on my cookie sheet. I already buttered my cookie sheet, so I'm going to just place my buns on there, and I'm going to cover this once again with a dish towel. I don't really like my cross buns too big or too small, so I'm just gonna put them a bit medium. And then after I finish rolling out all of these, I'm just gonna set it aside for another about 35 to 45 minutes. It's gonna double in size once again, and then we'll push them in the oven. So yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna finish doing this and I'll see you guys in a minute. Hi guys, so I usually get about 8 rolls with this dough, but I kind of just rolled it out today. I guess I missed average a little. They're a bit bigger than I usually do, but that's fine because I made some already. So this is what it looks like. Oh, those look so good. Don't you guys think so? They're nice and smooth at the top. So I'm going to set this for about 45 minutes. I'm going to put it over my preheated oven because I feel like it rises better when it's over a preheated oven. So I'm going to put that on my oven. You could just put this anywhere that's warm, nice and warm, or whatever. And then we're going to let this sit for about 45 minutes. Just so that they double in size. And then I'll come back and I'll show you what I do after I let them sit for about 45 minutes. See you guys then. Okay guys, so hi. So these have been sitting out on top of my preheated oven for about 45 minutes. And this is what they look like. So nice and fluffy. And like in between them proofing up, I scorched the top with a sharp knife to create it across. So that's what I did. I don't add the extra dough. I just use my knife to create the cross. You guys can do the extra flour and the water and just make your cross. I don't. I prefer not to. So this is what they look like. And now I'm going to push them in my oven. The oven has already preheated to 350 degrees. I'm going to put these in the oven for exactly 16 minutes or until they're golden brown. 16 minutes works perfect with my oven. So I'll see you guys in 16 minutes. Okay, so hi guys. So a lot of people don't really use this. I tend not to use it a lot, but I decided I'm going to show you guys. A lot of people tend to put a little bit of icing on top of their cross buns and they make a cross with it. So I'm going to show you guys how I make mine. I don't really use this. My husband don't really like a lot of sweets and he eats 95% of these cross buns. So I try not to put them on top of it. But just for demonstration, I'll show you guys how that's done. So I added about 2 tablespoons of milk to about a cup and a half of powdered sugar, and I'm just going to mix this around until it thickens up and forms that liquid that we will need. So I'll do that, and since my husband left for work, I have no one to hold my phone. So I'll mix this around and then I'll come back and show you guys. Okay guys, so I've achieved the consistency I was looking for. This is nice and thick. So I'm going to add this into a Ziploc bag. And this is what I will use to make a cross on at least 2 of the buns. So I can show you guys how that will look. Okay, so hi guys. It's been roughly 16 minutes. And this is what my cross buns look like. They're not perfect, but trust me, they're so good. So remember that glaze we made earlier? This is what I'm going to glaze the buns with, and you'll see it'll start to get a little more color. Because you don't want to over bake these, because if you do over bake them, you will see that they will taste a little bit, it'll be like heavy, and I don't like my dough heavy. I like that nice soft kind of melt in your mouth kind of cross buns. So that's why I do mine like this way. But of course, you know, it's your preference, and you can play with your recipes and see what you like the most. But these are so good. You will want to try these at least one time. So I am just using my pastry brush, and I am just brushing my glaze over this. See, mine is not too dark, and that's just how I like it. It's cooked just enough. And my crosses, as you can see, they aren't even perfect. But these, like I said, these are so good, guys. And I will cut into one, and I will show you what that looks like. Okay, guys, so remember that glaze we made, that icing we made earlier? So I just put it in a Ziploc, and I cut the tip of it. So we're gonna wait until these are cool to the touch, and then I'm going to add them onto my crossbuns. Okay, guys, so I am going to cut into this baby. Look how gorgeous this looks. It's nice and golden brown at the bottom. And we're gonna cut into this, and we're gonna see how this looks. So give me 1 second while I grab my knife, and we'll cut into this, guys. Oh, look at that. And also with this recipe, you can actually add stuff like currants, like whatever fruit that you want. I just prefer to just only use raisins, because that's what works for my family. But of course, you can play with this. You can put currants inside. Some people like dried fruit, prunes. Like, some people use different things, but we just like the raisins, so that's what we use. So let me cut into this baby, and I'll show you how nice and moist this is inside. Look at that. So gorgeous. Okay, guys, there you have it. Look at that. Look at how that bounces back. Look at how soft and moist this dough is. It's not too heavy. It's just nice and light and soft. This is gorgeous. Now, this is a crossbuns. Look at that, guys. And like I said, I've been working with this recipe so many times that I've been trying so many different things. And I find that this one is so easy. It works for me. I love how soft the crossbuns is. I love, love, love how that is inside. So this is why I use this recipe. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy. Nice and cool to the touch. Remember that we made that icing earlier? So I am just going to basically run across on just this one, because like I said, my husband is not a fan of the sweet. I'm sorry, that's my daughter. And that's what that will look like, guys. These are so good. All right, guys, so these are my final product. I mean, my buns were a bit too warm still, so the icing kind of ran all over, but that's okay. It's gonna be eaten anyway. But these are what they look like. Look at that nice gloss. And these are perfect. They're so nice and soft. So I hope you guys try making this soon. Thank you again for watching.